How to conceive a baby boy. Stick until the end. You're gonna have my ironclad guarantee. Welcome to the Hypno-Baby channel. I'm Dr. Natalie Fizet. I'm a retired family doctor who delivered 3,700 babies. This is your channel, so don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, and be amazed. Of course, there's a big medical disclaimer. This channel is for entertainment only. You use it at your own risk. I am a doctor, but I'm not your doctor. How to conceive a baby boy. Hi, I'm Dr. Natalie Fizet. So the first thing you have to know is that a baby is conceived with half the genetic material of the woman and half with the man. Since the woman only has sexual chromosome XX, so two X's, and the man has an X and a Y, the woman can only give an X. Even if she splits two X's, you'll get one X. A man can give X or can give Y, and when it gets together with the woman, it can be XX, which would be female fetus, and it can be XY, and then it would be a male fetus. So the sperm determines which one it is. In the 1960s, there's a doctor called Landrum Shettles that studies sperm like you wouldn't believe, and he even wrote a book which was a bomb and was extremely popular because of the title. It was called How to Choose the Sex of Your Baby Naturally. So everybody jumped on that like, okay, I can control, and it was like revolutionary, but we're going to talk more about this. So he said there's three factors to determine if you want to conceive a boy. The first one is when you have intercourse. The second one is the position in which you have the intercourse. And the third one is the vaginal pH and the pH during the time of conception. His theory is that we know that for a fact that the X chromosome is bigger than the Y chromosome. So he said that the Y chromosome is smaller but faster, but it doesn't live as long. So the chromosome that gives baby boys. So he said, do not have intercourse before the time of ovulation, and then really have intercourse right on the ovulation time, and try to bring the sperm as close to the cervix as possible, so that way your little swimmers are already like halfway there. And he even described doing vaginal douches with sodium bicarbonate to change the pH to make it more alkali. It would be like more favorable to have a baby boy. The American Association of Gynecologists and Obstetricians warns you against doing vaginal douches. They don't recommend it because the women's vaginal pH is acid for a reason. It's that it protects against a lot of infections and bacteria. So trying to tamper with the pH and change it could trigger infection, and even infection that could make what they call the PID, pelvic inflammatory disease, which could cause infertility. So we don't want that. We want a baby boy. We don't want to get infertile. In his book, Dr. Shettles also mentions how to conceive a baby girl. That's another video, so you're going to see the link at the end on the screen. Just click on it and it'll explain everything. So first thing is you have to know your ovulation when it happens. We've discussed that in another video, so I'll recap very fast. You ovulate 14 days before your period. So if you have long cycles, you don't ovulate on day 14. Let's say you have a cycle of 31 days. You ovulate on day 31 minus 14, day 17. Some women are lucky. They feel a little pinching either on the right or the left lower abdomen, and that's a sign. You could also have the cervical mucus that gets more stretchy like an egg white. And you can also have, they have ovulation tests nowadays, so you can use those to time your ovulation. With Dr. Shettles' method, you have to, not you have, but you want to have intercourse on the day of the ovulation and not before, because then the pH would be changed. Like we said, we wouldn't go with the vaginal douche. It's not recommended. And then the penetration, he says, from behind the penis would be, doing it in my hands, it would be closer to the cervix. Uh, okay, that's the method, that's the theory. Yeah, but Natalie, on the internet and on YouTube, so many women says it works. Yeah, because every pregnancy is a roll of dice. You have a 50-50 chance of having either a boy or a girl. So, yeah, it just happens. Oh, I wanted a boy, I had a boy, but you had 50% chance. That's high, okay? If a lottery had 50% chance, everybody would buy tickets, okay? So it's kind of a coincidence more than anything, because there's been some studies, and in medicine we like to contradict ourselves. So there's one study that said, yeah, that Dr. Shettles was right, but all the other studies said no, there's no influence. So in 1991, there was a review of all the studies, and they said there's less boys conceived during ovulation if you have intercourse during ovulation. Okay. And then in 2001, they said the sperms are not shaped differently. That was one of Dr. Shettle's theory. It's true that the X chromosome is bigger than the Y chromosome, so the sperm carrying the X chromosome would be heavier, quote unquote. But we're talking like, microns here, like really, really insignificant difference. The strongest argument I've heard, and I'm relaying it to you, is a fertility doctor that says if it was true, and Dr. Shetler's sold so many books, and there's other books that repeated the same thing over and over, and there's all these YouTube channels, and it has been repeated on the internet. Oh, how to conceive a boy and everything. Okay, but the strongest argument I've heard that it doesn't work is that when they do intrauterine insemination, okay, when a woman wants to get pregnant and they go and bring the sperm, they bring it in the cervix, okay, and they do it at the time of ovulation. So exactly like Dr. Shettle says. And sure enough, they have 50-50 chances of having a boy or a girl. So that's the strongest argument I've heard. So we talk about the natural way, which doesn't work, but there's the lab way, the laboratory way, in vitro fertilization. They have the embryo, they can poke it, get some material, and then they know if the embryo is going to be female or male, and then they could select which one they implant back in the uterus. So they would select the gender of the baby to come. That has risen a lot of ethical issues, and there's some countries that think one sex is better than the other, and that's been a problem. That's I don't want to go there, honestly. So what's my big guarantee? The guarantee is that there's no guarantee. So if you are trying to conceive and you want a boy, it might be a girl. So you have to be prepared for that. There's such a thing as gender disappointment, because as a parent, you bring all your baggage with you, and sometimes you've had a good relationship with your mother, or you had problems with the male gender for some reason. So this is all it could be the back of your mind. But if you see, there might be a grieving, like some women have 4 boys and they want a girl, and sure enough, boy number 5 comes around. So you all have your baggage that you bring into your family, but if you see that it's more intense, that the grieving period is prolonged, please consult a psychologist and someone who can help you. And there's grieving groups also. And Honestly, if you talk to people around you at the park or daycare or everything, you might not feel understood because most people will say, well, you have a healthy baby, so, what are you complaining about? So make sure you have the proper care and the proper attention that you need, that your situation needs. So I'll finish with an anecdote. One of my patients had three girls. She wanted a boy. I gave her the recipe, the Dr. Shettle's recipe, the sure way to choose your baby's sex. So she had intercourse on the ovulation day, the right position, and she didn't tamper with her vaginal pH. And she had her fourth girl. So it's 50-50, honestly.